with that kind of, she's a transitional character in time, you know, it's almost like she's looking at it, and she literally does by the end of the movie, but she's looking at the audience a bit going, Christ, can you remember when the attitudes were like this? You know, and they kind of still are in some places as well, I know, but it's, that was interesting for me, that it was, you know, she was trying to stake her claim and trying to assert herself in a world where there was still, could be openly fucking sexist and not even drop a beat or go, like, be slightly worried about it.
Yeah.
That's how you survive a gunfight.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody took a fair amount of wear and tear when we were making this movie, but everybody also had such a good time working with Ben and working with every other actor on this movie, who all brought something so fun to it that it just, no matter how much it hurt, it never outweighed how much fun we were having. You know, which is sometimes a dangerous thing on set, because you never know how the movie's going to turn out if you're having too much fun. But you know, I mean, this is the kind of thing where when you're watching a group of people have fun in like a ridiculous kind of crazy way, it's infectious. Like, you want to just have fun with them.
And then,
Hey now. Not necessarily terrible. It's hard to hit a moving target. You know, a lot of people just shoot paper.
I think from my research into it, from what I'd read from transcripts and stuff of actual gunfights, it's the world of, you know, when people are firing at paper targets, that's fine, you know, but when the targets are firing back, people rightly become absolutely terrified, and they don't, and it's very difficult to hit something like that, and certainly with those guns are, you know, not all of them were high caliber as well, and they're not accurate over long distances, and yeah, and as soon as stuff's moving as well, and you're moving, then, you know, all bets are off.
And you've been shot, and you're crawling on the rubble.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I mean, I think, and also if you've got only in the movies can people pick up weapons and automatically know how to do them from not having ever touched a gun. You know, and the reality of those things is without any kind of training and you know, just basic training of how to use it. And then the other sets of training, like police training or military training, you've got no chance. You know, so I think, and barely any of these characters are any good at it.
Right.
So, and I think the whole thing, I've got a new respect for the stormtroopers in Star Wars. You know, all this going on about how rubbish they are at shooting, I think that's realistic, to be fair, and I think they would be, I don't think they were particularly well trained. You know, there's probably a thing within the Empire, they won't want to let you fire too many rounds off, yeah.
Why do you know so much about stormtroopers?
Yeah, it had to be. I mean, mainly because because we were shooting in chronological order. There was a chance that if you didn't plan it out, the characters would be moving around like chess pieces on a board,
right,
and then they end up next to each other, and you're screwed. Because how do you unpick it at that point?
Right.
And in a normal movie, where scenes are in totally different places and over different time scales, you've got loads of license to move bits around. But in this film, you don't have any. You can't go anywhere. You know, and this, you know, in a normal movie, you have a scene in a bar and scene in an apartment and a scene in a park.
Right.
You never see how they get between those places. In terms of your understanding as the audience, they might as well just teleport there. But in this film, you have to see them travel between these places, the spaces. Otherwise, it looks weird. People start popping up all over the place. So that added an extra pressure onto it. But yeah, so we storyboarded heavily, lots of maps and plans and things, drawings and stuff. So you know. I mean, I remember when I started making movies, I thought it was a macho thing to rock up on set and have no plan and just go, I know what I'm doing here. But I sort of soon had that burn out of me after about 2 films. I was like, fuck, I'm not. You know, you need to plan this shit inside and out. You know?
A little before my time, so I don't really have that much of an intimate experience with the 70s, so it's mostly just what I've read, you know, what people have said about it after the fact. And, I don't know, I think my perception of the 70s is always other people's perception of the 70s, so I'm not even really sure. So for me, yeah, it's a lot about the clothes, it's a lot about the hair, it's a lot about this or that, or the music, or the style choices. But in this one, it's sort of like the pulp nature of the film. It's sort of the reality of this, sort of like the cinema verite aspect of it, you know, that we're getting in a lot of great 70s films, which is, I think, why Scorsese was attracted to this. I mean, he's responsible for a lot of the great 70s films that we think of when we think of 70s cinema. Yeah, I think everybody had a backstory, I think, which really helped in a situation like this where, you know, a lot of the characters don't really get a chance to espouse a lot of their own ideas, or like, this is where I'm from, like, there's not a lot, there's no exposition in this movie, which is a credit to the writers, you guys. So everybody sort of had to come up with a backstory in order for their character to have some sort of like relevance in a way, and the thing with Ord is, the backstory I came up with was, he was an explosives expert in Vietnam, which is how he got the nickname of Ord, you know, for like ordnance and explosives and all that stuff. And, you know, he was just sort of like a sick and twisted individual who almost died enough times that he was just like, life's a joke anyway, like, should have died, might have died, like, who cares, the only thing true is that we will all die, and everything other than that is just bullshit. So he came up with a bunch of like weird...
Just so glad this wasn't in the film, this scene.
Ord's basic specialty when he was in the war is he would get a poster that would be like really big, and he'd put it on a tree, and around the bottom of the tree he would put a bunch of landmines. And what he would do is the poster would start out with big words, and it would say something like a really great story, or something really kind of catchy, and then the next line would be a little bit smaller, and then the next line would be a little bit smaller, and then a little bit smaller, a little bit smaller, to the point where like, you're already invested in the story, you got to know what happens at the end of the girl and the whole thing, so you get a little close to the tree, a little close to the tree, and then you have to step up really close to finish the story, boom, and then you die. And that was kind of the thing. So
I thought you were going to live for sure.
What, in the film?
Yeah.
Well, that's the big reaction we always get, is everyone goes, oh,
yeah.
and he gets shot, but you know.
Actually,
that's why they dangled it in front of you, and then just jerked it away. Yeah. But I had some phone calls with Ben, and we did the video Skype and all that stuff, and made sure we were on the same page. No, I mean, I definitely auditioned for stuff. That you never finish with that, unfortunately.
Yeah, this was us seeking him out. It wasn't that he wasn't offered up with a load of other actors. It was like, we're going, okay, this guy's Armie Hammer. Let's see if we can get Armie Hammer to do it. Oh, he wants to do it, brilliant. And also, I don't ever understand auditioning, at this level. It's kind of like, if people who have made films who are good in movies, it's kind of this weird arrogance of assuming they're not going to be any good in this other movie because they've got no fucking range or something that they can't do it. And we tend to look at, and also I'm not that interested in the other roles usually. And I'm more interested in stuff like them appearing on chat shows and stuff like that. And you look at these chat show performances and you go, you start to try and understand what kind of a person they are, and then from that you want to build out for the performance that you want for the film. So it's done like that all through Skype chats and shit.
Right.
There's definitely one that stands out, and I refuse. I say pass. I will not. I can't answer this question.
You're actually crying now.
It's too much. It's too much. But let's just say, like every actor in the game, I've probably put in thousands of auditions that have all gone so poorly. So.
It's not massive, to be honest, but that is a track that I listen to a lot. Annie's song, I'm a big fan of that. And in the movie, the way that the 8-track plays out is in the right order to the 8-track. So that was important as well, and that was written to the script that kind of diegetic sound thing would work out like that. But no, it's an amazing song, and it was a song that I have very specific memories of my parents and that music from being a kid.
Me too.
Yeah, I think that it's a kind of obviously it's a genre film, and so there's an element of the femme fatale about it, but also she's, I like that kind of the world of people who are competent and good at their jobs, and she's, as a character, she's a go-between that's kind of organising stuff, but also she's scheming together with Martin to rob all the money as well at the same time. So in a way, the other way I look at her in this film is like she's like Ripley in Alien, but she's also the alien. Yeah. She kills more people than anybody in this movie. So and she can shoot straight, which most of them can't. So yeah, I mean it's. Again with Brie, I'd met her through a kind of general meeting through my agent, and had coffee with her and chatted to her and just liked her. And that's what we cast her, because she was cool and strong and clever, and just went, well, there you go, that's that character. So there's no, I don't even need to, I knew her other movies and stuff like that. None of those performances were interesting to me, beyond the meeting.
I mean, it's so nice to get to go and work on a film that you're passionate about and that you believe in, like Free Fire or like any other ones, and then and then to get the experience of making it is such a treat, because the only reason these films get made is because the people behind it are incredibly passionate about it and are willing to go up against amazing sort of like obstacles and adversaries who will want to shut film down, and still to get a movie made. It's like, when you're there, there's a level of appreciation and gratitude that we finally are making this movie and all that stuff. So then to go do something like that and afterwards have people appreciate it is always really nice. To be honest, and to be fair, my wife had a lot more to do with our second child being born than I did. So that made that a little easier for me. But as far like right now, I have a few movies coming out this year, but I'm not really working on anything until Ben and I are supposed to work together towards the end of the year. So I have time to be a dad. I have time to be at home and take my kids to the park and do all that stuff. It's really nice. It's been a really nice sort of break. I'm always just appreciative of any job anybody offers me.
Okay.
We try and do something different each time, and I think that weirdly, Filmed in England was meant to be like kind of the crazy art film before making something that was a bit more straight ahead, and then we accidentally made High Rise, which was quite complicated in its own way. So yeah, I think I'm hoping to keep going, doing all sorts of stuff, and I think from us, our big goal at the moment is to work towards making a movie where no one gets murdered, and but I think we're probably about 5 or 6 films away from that, sadly. But because I want to do a romantic comedy at some point,
Okay.
and a kids film and all these things. There's loads of stuff to do, So
That would be awesome.
That's a much better title, Truck with the Explosion. Wages of Fear.
Yes, Wages of Fear.
Yeah, that's going along. Yeah, the script's written for that, and so it's. But now I am going to call it The Truck with All the Explosions. 3 trucks with
Working title.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They're standing and it's making me nervous.
All right, guys.
Cool, man.
Thank you, guys.
Looking forward to seeing Colby.
Well, I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
Thank you.